There's two kinds of hitters, a choke hitter and a swing hitter. Now, a swing hitter generally gets the full length of the bat and swings right from the heel, where a choke hitter shortens his bat about 3 or 4 inches, stands flat-footed, and just pokes at the ball and not that full swing. Hey, Mike, throw me a few, will you?
Now, Matt Heath, have you got any idea who that voice could be?
I've got an idea.
You got an idea?
I've got an idea. Yep.
Okay, great.
Yep.
From Smith to Robbie Dean.
The Yankees have swept a 4-game series.
Yes, that's early try to Walkman. Live from the Export Beer Garden Studios, this is Versus, an agenda special podcast brought to you by Bonds Chafe Off Undies. Bonds, innovative range of friction-free undies.
Welcome to the Export Beer Garden Studios for an agenda special Versus. Thanks to Bonds Chafe Off Undies, and Matt Heath is joining us today. Do you know who that voice was, Matt Heath?
Was that Babe Ruth?
It was Babe Ruth.
It would have to be if we're talking about this particular rivalry.
Yes, that's right. And welcome along also Dylan Cleaver with myself, G Lane, and this is the Versus series, agenda specials. We've covered off Canterbury, Auckland in the 1980s, the beef that existed there. India, Pakistan was our second one. That was fairly intense. Yeah, there's a lot going on in that rivalry. And for this episode, it is the Yankees versus the Red Sox, the curse of the Bambino.
Well, I wish that's right. Instead of Babe Ruth, but I wish I'd said the Big Bambino.
The Big Bambino. So we're going to get into this. I mean, we're going to try and reason you're here, Matt Heath, you're a huge baseball fan, mainly Dodgers focused.
Yeah, I must say, with a caveat that I'm one-eyed Dodgers.
Yes.
So everything else is only when it comes through the LA sphere.
Yeah, right. And then we've got Dylan Cleaver, who's unashamed Red Sox tragic. I am not a baseball man, and so the last couple of episodes we've had rugby and cricket, which I think are our kind of meat and veg for New Zealand sporting public. So if you don't mind, throughout, I'm going to probably ask the stupidest questions around baseball. But this rivalry is a classic. It's probably one of the biggest ones in the States in terms of infamy and publicity. So
what would the other ones be? Dodgers, Giants is another big one.
Yeah, I think Yankees, Red Sox tops them all. Maybe in football you've got maybe the Patriots, Jets, or the Steelers and the Cowboys, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's get into it because we need to go a bit further back. We need to go all the way back to almost colonial times to look at the rivalry. But before we start, baseball is a long season. You got 162 games to be exact. More if you make the postseason. During the season, teams will play opponents in their division 18 to 19 times each, which is insane. For much of the past 120 years of baseball history, the 18 to 19 most important days of the season have been when the men in the pinstripes, the uber slick and successful New York Yankees, have met their hated rivals, the dog-eared and often hapless Boston Red Sox. Both cities have rich traditions across the US Big Four sports, but at the heart, they're baseball towns. Baseball is a religion in the Bronx, as it is in Boston, and the two most holy cathedrals are Yankee Stadium and Fenway Park. The two fan bases hate each other with a passion. But Dylan, the whole Boston-New York rivalry thing has some fairly deep roots.
Deep roots, Mike. How deep do you want me to go? I'm going to go fairly deep.
Go balls deep.
Hey, before we start, can we what is the balance of the rivalry? Because is it Australia, New Zealand and cricket?
Hopelessly lopsided.
Hopelessly lopsided, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But didn't start that way, but we'll get to that.
As is kind of the civic rivalry nowadays, if we're being honest. But Bostonians and New Yorkers, they've always had this healthy disdain for each other. And if you believe some Bostonians, they're the permanent winners of the battle, actually.
Who? Boston think that?
Boston, yeah, because the Puritans came over to escape religious persecution from England. They landed in Nantucket, somewhere around there, Plymouth Rock, I think it was, on the Mayflower, and they called the region New England.
Yes.
And Boston was the centre of New England. The Dutch Protestants actually settled what was then called New Netherlands, and New Amsterdam was the centre of their little enclave.
So it's brilliantly original, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just move somewhere and you call it where you were from.
Exactly.
Like
with a new in front of it.
Like Zealand.
Yeah. New Plymouth. Yeah. But anyway, the New Englanders didn't like that. They sort of came down and said, nah, this is our area. And they just arbitrarily changed the name to New York, named after the Duke of York, who would later become King James II. But when the USA, they got all revolutionary in the 70s, it was Boston and Philadelphia that were the centres of the resistance against the Crown.
The English.
The New Yorkers actually quite fancied the Brits. And the first shots in the War of Independence were fired just out of Boston. In 1773, they had a tea party, which is when they boarded basically the ships of the British East India Company.
They're running through a few of our episodes, the East India Company.
They were a behemoth. They threw all the tea chests into the harbour and said no, because the East India Company had not only a monopoly on tea, but they also taxed it.
Yeah, right.
So this is just, so America started from just dirty tax evasion right from the start.
Precisely, yeah. A country founded on
tax evasion.
Tax evasion. So their resistance, Boston's resistance to the English was quite well organised, whereas New York's was disorganised, and they were actually easy. The resistance in New York was pretty easy, defeated by the Redcoat Army. And so for a long time, Boston saw themselves as the kind of cultural elite of the new America. They had all the writers there, Nathaniel Hawthorne, Louisa May Alcott. They had all the great educational institutions. They had Harvard, MIT. I think Boston College was a little later on in the piece. Well, New York was really just a dirty, overcrowded place of crime and iniquity, which is best referenced if you're into pop culture through Martin Scorsese's wonderful Gangs of New York.
I'm 47 years old. You know how I stayed alive this long? All these years. Fear. The spectacle of fearsome acts. Somebody steals from me, I cut off his hands. He offends me, I cut out his tongue. He rises against me, I cut off his head, stick it on a pike. Raise it high up so all in the streets can see. That's what preserves the order of things. Fear.
Oh, yeah. Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
Great movie.
It is a great movie, actually.
Bit long.
Most of Scorsese's are.
So I guess
a bit of a snip.
But the key date in this rivalry that predates baseball is 1825. And that is when the Erie Canal was completed, which was at the time the largest public works project in the history of the world.
Yes.
Until the Mount Eden to CBD rail link was started. So what the
inner city loop.
yeah. So what the Erie Canal did is it opened up the Hudson River, which flowed into New York, into Long Island Sound. It opened that up to the Great Lakes. So from that moment on, as America expanded west, it had to go through the Midwest, which was where the Great Lakes were. So New York became effectively the manufacturing and trading hub of the United States.
So it shrunk Boston's diddle a little bit.
Exactly. Boston's influence kind of waned.
Yeah.
New York's went massive. And so I guess you could say the supremacy for the cities is long gone. New York is easily the hub of commerce. It's got Wall Street.
Yes.
But the rivalry has remained strong in one area, which is sportsing.
Yeah.
But it is interesting you say that, because I've never understood why Boston and the Red Sox have what do they have the saying? It's blue collar versus big money, they used to say, right?
Yeah.
But then from a New Zealand perspective, Boston's, as you say, it's Harvard, it's Beantown, it's Frasier.
Yes.
Even though the show Frasier was in Seattle, but he was a Bostonian.
He started at Cheers Bar.
Yeah, exactly. It was sort of this Ponzi side to Boston.
Yeah.
But
Bostonians see themselves totally differently now. They see themselves as the gritty blue collar South Boston Irish immigrants, firemen, cops, a bit of crime.
Red Sox, Fenway Park.
Yeah, so nowadays you have the Patriots and the Jets, you got the Bruins versus New York Rangers, you got the Celtics and the Knicks, but even the Celtics' main rivalries with the Lakers.
Yeah.
But the one that has stood the test of time is the Red Sox and Yankees. The very first game between them was 1903, ended in a brawl.
Nice. Good start.
Yeah, the following year they battled for the pennant, the American League pennant. Boston won on a wild pitch. It was probably one of the last, pieces of good fortune they would enjoy versus New York. Since then, boom, it's gone massive.
So, okay, I need to get into the bottom before we get into full American baseball. I need to understand the different leagues of baseball in America, because it's a bit like NBA where you've got the Eastern Conference, the Western Conference, but this is more complex.
I think you got to understand that the teams used to travel by train, so you could only really play in your area. So that's why. So these guys are in the American League East.
Yes.
And
so you just play East Coast teams.
Yeah, and then there was also the National League East, and so it doesn't make as much sense now that you only play in your area, but back in the day, like you couldn't play Los Angeles regularly.
Sport was an East Coast thing basically.
Yeah,
and the Midwest.
Yeah, you couldn't really get to the other side of the country, and all those teams are quite new. 1950s and stuff.
So what tended to happen then was that say the Eastern American League or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's got Boston and New York in it. They are like a pool, and then there's another pool. So there's
three. So there's three in the American League and three in the National League.
So, but if you're in the same league, you'll never play each other in the
more and more they
World
do.
Series.
You do now. You never used to.
Yeah. Okay.
They were totally separate. National League had different rules.
Yes. Yeah.
So
see, this is it. Different rules. There's different rules for different leagues.
Which was weird when you got to the World Series, because the World Series is the winner of the National League versus the winner of the American League. And we'll get to one of the most famous games ever in the ALCS. But yeah, so you'd get to the World Series, and then it'll be, what rules are you playing around the designated hitter?
Yeah.
And if you're in the National League, it always felt like the American League was weak because their pitchers didn't have to bat.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. It's a very complex. It's quite complex, but I could see why they're doing it now. I didn't understand it was a travel issue. I just thought it was
initially,
a political issue.
I mean, initially it was you could get from Boston to New York, but you couldn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sport was an East Coast thing and extended into the Midwest. But the two leagues had different rules. They had different owners of the leagues. That's how they started.
Yeah.
Basically two rival competing leagues, and then the owners of these rival competing leagues said, hey, it would be pretty cool if our winners met at the end
in a World Series.
And so that was how the World Series was born in 1903.
It's like the merging of the WWE and the WWF.
Yeah, so there was actually exactly like that.
For the Royal Rumble.
So they're actually more logical rivalries for these teams. Like the more logical rival for the Boston Red Sox would have been the Boston Braves.
Yes.
But they were a National League team, so although they played in the same city, they never
played each other.
They never played each other. They had separate grounds, separate fan bases. Boston Red Sox kind of won the hearts of most Bostonians in that time because they were successful. The Braves weren't. They eventually went to Milwaukee, then ended up as the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
Whereas the New York actually, this is really confusing, but they started off as the Baltimore Orioles, and they were terrible. So New York bought the license for the Baltimore Orioles, who would later be reborn.
Yes.
But they bought it. They shifted the team to New York, called themselves the New York Highlanders, but they were in a city.
New York Highlanders, welcome to the house of pain.
They shared their ground with the New York Giants, who played at the Polo Grounds.
Yes.
And there was also the Brooklyn...
So NFL played on the same as baseball?
No, this was the New York Giants baseball team.
Oh.
It gets really confusing.
Okay.
Who are now the San Francisco Giants.
Okay, so immediately after the first game, there's a dust-up.
Yep.
What happens then after that? Because that's fairly early. That's in 1903.
Boston were dominant.
Yeah. Okay. So
right through to 1918. I think Boston won 4 or 5 World Series in that period.
Yeah.
New York won nothing.
Okay.
But then there was a fairly significant moment in the history.
Well, let's take a quick break here, and we'll come back with that and what happened next that's changed the Red Sox history forever. Okay, so we're at 1918, then.
Yep.
What happens to the Red Sox? They are going great guns. They've got one particular player that's fairly handy.
Fairly handy, although reasonably well hidden. They've won 5 World Series by now. In the last couple of World Series, last few World Series they won, 15, 16 and 18. I mean, Boston was famous for pitching. They had Cy Young, who's now given his name to the
Cy Young Award.
The award for the best pitcher goes as the Cy Young Award. But they also had another younger pitcher, a guy called George Herman Ruth.
Oh, yep.
Who was pretty handy. He kind of, like, you need to know a bit about George Ruth because it's a fairly incredible story. He grew up, he was born in the slums of Baltimore.
Yeah.
No one really gave him a chance. He went to a reformatory, an orphanage, where he is known as, it'd probably be considered quite racist.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say it probably would. And it was due to his pudgy facial features.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I think there probably is verging on that.
But he was very good at hitting a ball, hurling a ball. He got noticed by the local team, the Baltimore Orioles, who by then, because the Yankees had bought the Major League franchise, they were a minor league team. No one liked him except the manager, a guy called Dunn, but he kept on playing George Ruth, and so all the other teammates thought he was the teacher's pet, so they called him Dunny's Babe.
That's why Babe Ruth.
That's interesting because I just thought he was the big Bambino because he kind of looked like a big baby.
Yeah.
I'm the same as you. I thought because he was just a big unit.
Because he doesn't look like an athlete of today.
No.
He's kind of baby shaped with a big baby face.
He used to put a cabbage leaf under his hat as well to cool himself down when he was pitching.
Very innovative.
Yeah. There you go.
That's my high-tech sports.
That's my only bit of Babe Ruth knowledge.
Yeah, so he
was a pitcher.
Yeah, the Orioles would do. Well, he did a bit of both. You could do a bit of both. They sent him to. They sold his contract to the Boston Red Sox. He pitched brilliantly for the Boston Red Sox. Very rarely hit. His teammates hated him because he always insisted on taking batting practice, and they were like, "Why would you bother taking batting practice? You're a pitcher. You're annoying the hell out of us." They would saw his bats in half, so he couldn't. Pitch.
It's a bit like Trenty wanting to have a bat, or Tim Southey's. I want to bat them myself.
And
they're just wasting time in the nets.
They called him the Big Baboon, which is also potentially quite
racist as well.
Quite racist, and So anyway, we get to 1918. When he does bat quite well, but he never bats often enough to make a real name for himself there.
But is this when the American League pre-designated hitter was the starting pitcher still having to bat? Yeah. But it's just sort of perfunctory, isn't it? Really, you just that's your last out.
Yeah, well, he would want to bat on his off days from pitching too.
Right.
Right. Which is winding his teammates up.
Yeah.
Anyway, the owner of the team was a guy called Harry Frazee, who was a theatre impresario.
Yes.
Putting on productions is very expensive.
Well, didn't he have a girlfriend who was in the production? So he was. He was led.
He was horny.
Yeah, he was led by his other brain.
Yeah. And he wanted to put on this production for his girlfriend. He needed to stump up some cash. New York Yankees said, "Hey, we quite like the look of
Babe Ruth."
Yeah. And so he had quite a rich contract with the Red Sox. I think it was 3 years, $27,000, and they sold the Yankees the rights to that contract.
Which was $100,000, wasn't it? And there was some kind of other pay. There was more to it, right? But so he was reasonably fancied. But when you look at the later reaction to it, was it at the time the shocking move that what we know now? No, so they didn't really know. They liked the fan base liked the big baby, but they didn't know.
Yeah. They didn't recognise
he wasn't as great as he is now. So they didn't know the loss that they'd just chosen to do.
They did not know he was about to become the Sultan of SWAT.
But obviously the Yankees saw something because the $100,000 they paid
quite a lot,
allegedly was the biggest transfer.
And there was another $300,000 part of it, right? Wasn't there? There was. They bought him, and it was quite a decent whack of cash for back in 1920.
All because this guy wanted to get laid.
Yeah. And there was another little factor of that as well, that Babe Ruth had started to wear out his welcome a little bit in town.
Oh, right.
He was fond of the finer things of life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
He ate like a horse. He drank like a fish.
And banged like a rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so the Red Sox, they sell Babe Ruth.
So just to recap, the Red Sox have been doing very, very well up to this point. They've been dominating the Yankees.
Yep.
They are, they're the toast of the American League East. Everything's great. Then they sell the big baby.
They sell the big baby.
And what happens next?
The entire axis flips. New York becomes the centre of the baseball world. They win their first World Series in 1923. Babe Ruth is hitting home runs at such a rate that they're selling so many tickets that they can afford to build their entire new home. So they move out of the Polo Grounds, which was, I believe, in Upper Manhattan. They move just across the river into the Bronx, where they build Yankee Stadium, which is affectionately known as the house that Ruth built. And they keep acquiring talent.
Is it true, though, going back to the stadium, is it true they built it around him? Like, in terms of there was a shorter...
Yes.
The left-hander.
Short porch.
To his specifications.
Yeah. So he's a left-hander. So they built it just shorter there, and they also built it in the right direction so the sun wouldn't be in his eyes. Is that right?
You're very well versed on this, mate. This is brilliant.
So how quickly, when Babe Ruth went to New York, did he instantly just start hitting? Like he hadn't been hitting at the Red Sox, and did they keep him? Because he didn't do a hell of a lot of pitching at the Yankees.
He became their hitter.
Yeah.
The key pin of their batting lineup.
So that happened quite quickly.
Quite quickly,
It was just a quick turnaround form, or was it the environment there? Or
it was refreshed. You had a new bevy of iniquity to go into in New York.
Yeah.
Obviously, he had new restaurants, he had new bars, and new
he would have loved New York.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so equally, how quickly did the owner of the Red Sox start to take heat for the decision? And when did the curse of the Bambino first start being mentioned?
Yeah, I don't think those titles came till much later.
Yeah, right.
Because you can't really have a curse until you recognise that something's gone a long time. Right?
I'm familiar with the curse.
Yeah.
So I don't think in 1923, when the Yankees got off the schneid and won their first World Series, I don't think people were automatically going curse the Bambino.
Yeah, right. So
maybe they did. I mean, they would have been a bit of foresight, but also around the Babe, they started stacking up with talent, and they had a batting lineup that in 1927 was so deep and so powerful that it was known as Murderer's Row, and that contained a guy at first base who would give his name to a tragic disease, Matt Heath.
Lou Gehrig's disease.
Yeah.
What is Lou Gehrig's disease?
We call it ALS now, motor neurone disease. Yeah.
Right, and it stemmed from this particular baseball player, or was he the most famous?
He wasn't also a doctor
sufferer?
that discovered it.
Yeah. He got it. So his last couple of seasons were quite tragic. He was a first base and an amazing hitter, and he started to really slow down in the field, and there was one particular game where he hit a ball into the outfield and he was out at first.
Right.
He couldn't get to
first base.
Oh, wow.
In time.
So that Murderer's Row, though, that's where the name Murderer's Row comes from, right? It was in they started describing them, like a journalist said, it's a murderer's row you have to get through with that lineup. I think it was all the way to 5 that was in the lineup?
They had champions all the way through. The only names that would be recognised today by anyone other than baseball aficionados would be Ruth and Gehrig, but it was powerful.
Because there's I remember seeing some documentary, I can't remember his name, but the lead-off hitter was just incredible at getting on base. So he didn't really hit home runs, but he was just like a clockwork getting on base, which massively helped the team, because then you had these big hitters that would come, and one run becomes 2 because he was always on base.
Yeah, and I guess what made Babe Ruth so phenomenal was home runs weren't like they are these days. So they come through the dead ball era where it was nearly impossible to hit a home run, and they were playing generally speaking in bigger stadiums with bigger outfields with bats that, I mean, the technologies stayed reasonably the same, but it wasn't as good a bat technology as you got now, and certainly the sports science was
cabbage on the head.
And the pitching wasn't as fast.
Yeah. So what Babe Ruth and Gehrig and those guys were doing was phenomenal, and that sealed the Yankees' dominance in baseball, certainly over Boston, but pretty much over the field, and they just keep winning.
Is it true? This doesn't sound like a real number, but is it true that Babe Ruth hit nearly 660 home runs for the Yankees in his time?
Well, he hit 714 overall,
right,
and hit the vast majority of them in New York. Right. I don't know the exact split.
So 714 across all the teams he was in.
Yep.
The Orioles, the Red Sox, and the Yankees.
No, the Orioles were a minor league team when he played for them.
Okay. So it's just between the Red Sox.
So the Sox, the Yankees, and then he finished up with the Boston Braves. So
if we do take that number, 650, I think I've heard that somewhere. That you're starting to think about the curse of the Bambino every time this guy that you let go.
Yeah.
So a dude could get laid.
Yeah.
Every time he's hitting a home run.
You're like, damn it.
Hope it was worth it.
It better be worth it. It'd be so good because modern day, every time you just send him a text, another one. Another one. Ding. Okay, so you got the Babe Ruth era. So Boston have had their D shrunk by New York. They've had a massive mozza. So what happened in the next kind of 30, 40 years in that rivalry? I mean, obviously New York were dominant.
New York was just dominant over everyone. They kept winning throughout the 50s. They kept winning. There would be an occasional time where they'd be upset by the Pittsburgh Pirates on one occasion in the World Series. Brooklyn Dodgers beat them once, but they were pretty formidable. And I don't know Boston had good players. They had Ted Williams, the splendid splinter, who is still regarded by a lot of people as the greatest all-round hitter of all time.
Yeah.
He hit home runs, but he also hit to all fields. He was just I think he might be the last guy to hit 400 in a season, and that means that 40% of the time he came to the plate, he got a hit and was safe on base, which is kind of this magical figure now that they don't think will ever be repeated.
Is that like averaging 100 in Test cricket?
It is kind of, yeah.
Because nowadays, if you're batting 286 or 290 is considered phenomenal now.
Yeah,
right. Okay, that is.
Yeah, so even in recent years, those numbers have lowered because it's just harder. But then again, people
swing and miss more now.
Yeah,
the whole metrics and data analysis is determined that the key is to hit for power, hit for extra base hits. So you don't get as many guys that don't get as many as what Babe Ruth said at the top of the show. As many choke hitters.
Yeah, choke hitters. But New York always seemed to have all the rock stars, didn't they? Like Joe DiMaggio.
By now, they were by far and away the most valuable
team.
So it wasn't just Babe Ruth. What happened was the Yankees, just going back to when Babe Ruth came on and forward for the next few years, a lot of money was coming in, and there was a motivation to get an incredible team. So people just think, Babe Ruth came over there and changed it. Wasn't so much. It was like a motivation from the Yankees owners to spend some money and get together an incredible team.
This was in the days before rich sports broadcasting rights fees as well. So your money basically came from your ticket sales.
Yeah, right.
And the Yankees had the biggest stadium by a mile.
The stadium that Babe built.
Yeah, the house that Ruth built. They filled that stadium consistently because they've got a huge population base to fall back on.
Yep.
And they were successful. So people wanted to turn up for all 162 bloody games of the
Okay, so Boston against the wall up until about...
Did Babe Ruth hit a home run in the first game at the stadium? The
stadium that he built?
I don't know, did he?
Yeah, I bet he did.
He would have. It seems like the kind of thing he'd do.
He's got other legends too about pointing.
Yep.
Calling his shot.
Yeah, I love that. That started to make its way into cricket as well. With people going, this was six.
But in like, he didn't really hit it anywhere else though, right? Because he was left-hander,
and
he pointed to where he generally hit the ball.
The short porch of Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, it's like Tim Southey point. I'm going to hit it over cow corner.
Yeah. It's like, okay, where else are you going to hit it, mate?
So obviously Boston are up against it from like 1918 up to 1978, when potentially
they're going to break the curse.
Yeah, the curse. So, they thought at 1978 they could break it.
So in that time, before we go to that, how many times the Yankees would have won the World Series 20-something times in that time.
They'd got up to about 20 times by the time 78 comes around. In the intervening period till we get to 78, they have made the World Series twice, I think, and lost both times to the St. Louis Cardinals of the National League. So they hadn't won a World Series title. They'd won the pennant, which is winning the American League.
They hadn't won since the big baby left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back with potentially the breaking of the curse. Dylan Cleaver, Matt Heath, we've gone through the start of the curse of the Bambino, Babe Ruth, 1978.
Second only to the Grim Reaper curse, the curse of G Lane in sporting legend.
That's gone on for a little less time than the curse of the Bambino. So 1978, a chance for the Red Sox to break it.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, actually, 3 years earlier they'd also made the World Series, but they lost to Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah.
And Americans are brilliant at calling their team, who were known as the Big Red Machine.
Yeah, nice.
'Cause they're pretty dominant as well. But 78, it all came together for Boston, and this rivalry was kind of reignited because they led New York by 14 games on the standings in mid-July. And as you mentioned right at the top, the baseball season is long, but even given how long it is, that is generally 14 games. Anything above 10 games is generally seen to be unassailable.
So they've played them that many times just during the season. They beat them 14.
No, this includes other teams.
So in the whole of their division.
So just for argument's sake, their record might have been 50 wins and 20 losses by that stage of the season, which would have meant that New York had something, 40 wins.
It's just because if you win the American League East, then you progress into the postseason.
Oh, okay.
So they were 14 games ahead.
Yeah.
Pre-postseason.
Oh, yes, I get it. Yeah.
And but they blew it.
Regular season's pre-postseason.
They blew it. They blew a 14.
They blew the lead. They started going backwards. The Yankees started winning, and they got to the end of the season and they were tied. They were tied in the American League, so they needed a one-game playoff, and Boston was leading 2-0 at home in the bottom of the seventh when a guy named Bucky Dent came up to the plate. He batted number 9, which is like your...
Southie?
It's like Chris Martin.
Chris Martin?
It's like the Chris Martin position, although no one's quite as bad as Chris.
I'm about to say, Trent Bolt maybe.
Yes.
Trent Bolt.
It's a Trent Bolt position.
Okay.
So he was a very light-hitting, great fielder. He played 12 major league seasons and hit 40 home runs total.
Okay.
So that's, 3 and a bit home runs a year?
Yeah.
So he just was not a threat.
I'll take that.
He hit one over the Boston Fenway Park's famous Green Monster.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to talk about the Green Monster because I've got a theory on the Green Monster.
What is the Green Monster?
So the Green Monster is this 12-meter high green wall in a left field
in Fenway.
At Fenway, which it's the biggest wall in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Which means things that would be home runs anywhere else just bounce off the wall.
Yeah.
And it's built. Is it built basically so? It's complicated how they have to build these stadiums. Sometimes it's to stop people looking in. Sometimes it's just weird. But for whatever reason at Fenway Park, they've got this stupid big green, massive wall.
Because the infield is shorter there. Because if you get the chance to go to Fenway,
I'd love to.
Absolutely should do it because it's incredible. But when you go there, you realise what a tiny footprint of land this incredible stadium is shoehorned into.
Yeah.
So it's got all these crazy angles in the outfield. The wall is too short.
Yeah.
So you can top edge, like a top edged hook at Eden Park.
Yeah.
And it can just creep over the wall, and that's a home run, and it wouldn't be a home run in any other ground. It would be caught on the warning track.
Right.
But there are times where you can just leather a line drive, and it pings off the wall, and you end up getting a single. You can't even get to second base, where it would be a home run and every other thing. Okay. You got this funny little triangle in the outfield. But anyway,
so it's cool because of the history. That's one of the great things about baseball, is that the Green Monster, like originally quite a crazy thing, and you might say you're cobbling together a stadium just becomes so legendary. The Green Monster, it's such a big part of every. On the rare occasion that the Dodgers end up playing, all the talk is about the Green Monster.
Yeah.
So you got Trent Bolt. He's laced one over the Green Monster.
The count's 1-1. 2 outs and 2 on. The Red Sox lead at 2-0 in the 7th inning here at Fenway. Deep to left. Yastrzemski will not get it. It's a home run. A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead it by a score of 3-2. Bucky Dent has just hit his 5th home run of the year into the screen. Boy, the last guy on the ball club you'd expect to hit a home run just hit one into the screen. Bucky Dent.
He has laced one over the Green Monster. The Yankees win the World Series that year, and for now, and this is actually true, he's forever known in Boston. Like, he's not called Bucky Dent, he's called Bucky fucking Dent.
Bucky fucking Dent.
Trenty fucking Bolt.
And it comes like, yes, often you hear it in popular culture sometimes when you watch movies that are based in Boston. Now and then you hear something like Bucky fucking Dent.
It's quite a good. So if something goes wrong,
and it got worse for Boston after that. In 1986, they actually win the American League pennant. Yes. So Yankees obviously didn't have a good year.
Yeah,
they win the pennant. They get to the World Series.
So the pennant is your conference.
So if you win the National League, you win the National League pennant. Yep. You win the American League, you win the American League pennant.
The
two pennant winners.
The World Series.
Yep. Okay.
So they're in the World Series, and they're facing not the New York Yankees, because you can't obviously meet them in the World Series, but the New York Mets, the young upstart Metropolitans, who played in Shea Stadium. But Boston have got this covered. They've got the best young power pitcher in the game, a guy called Roger Clemens. They're leading the Mets 3-2, go into Shea Stadium. They're leading 5-3. Clemens has pitched an absolute blinder. They're going to the bottom of the 9th, and they blow it.
At the bottom of the 9th, they blow it. The New York start getting men on base. There's wild pitches. They get to 5-all, and then I can't even remember who hit it. Someone hit a little dribbler up the first base line. They're 2 outs. Yes.
They're down to 2 outs as well. This is their final out. Bill Buckner. Ball goes under his glove.
5-5 in a delirious 10th inning. Can you believe this ball game at Shea?
Oh, brother.
3-2 to Mookie Wilson. Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
New York win. Curse of the Bambino continues.
So that at that point, the curse of the Bambino is now about 70 years.
Yeah.
So 70 years. So the pressure, that happens, and it's the same thing with the Cubs. The pressure of the amount of time.
Yeah.
Since you've won the World Series, and now it's got a name, the curse, and then crazy things like that. A play you would make every other time in your entire life since Little League.
Yep.
You suddenly don't make.
Believe it or not, it gets worse.
Oh, God.
It gets worse. In 2003, and by this time, baseball had changed quite significantly. Like, not only had the division system come in, because in the old days it was just the American League and the National League, then it got American League East and those divisions that we talked about earlier, but also the wild card era has come in, because you could only get to the postseason if you'd won your division.
Yes.
Now, if you were the top team who didn't win their one of 3 divisions, you could go through to the wild card thing. And so it meant that Boston and New York could meet in the American League Championship Series, which they never could before.
And what year is this?
So we've got through to 2003 now.
2003.
Yeah. So again, Boston have a very good team. They've got the best young pitcher in the game, a guy called Pedro Martinez.
Yes.
Absolute weapon.
Yep.
They force a game 7. Pedro Martinez is on the mound for game 7, so massive advantage Boston.
Yep.
He pitches like a god. Boston Red Sox are leading 5-2 going into the bottom of the 8th, and Pedro has pitched already at this stage, I think, about 116 pitches.
So what is the average for a pitcher, though?
Cutoff is usually about 100.
About 100, so you get 100 throws.
It's less and less now, isn't it? Even back then they were every now and then going, but now they're mostly.
Okay, so he's bowled 20 overs on the trot.
Yeah, and they have a very efficient bullpen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got them this far. They've got fresh guys waiting in their bullpen, limbering up. A manager called Grady Little, who you might be surprised to learn didn't last much long after this series, left a wilting Pedro in to start the 8th innings. They conceded 3 runs.
I think it's a case where Grady goes out to Pedro Martinez, his number 1 guy, and because of the respect that he has earned, gave him the option.
And he stays out for Prasad. Second and third, 1 out. Bottom of the 8th, a run already home. A flare into center field. Out as Walker won't get it. The base running of Matsui. He comes home. Nobody covers second. Tie game.
So you go to extra innings. You just knew how it was going to end up. Tim Wakefield took the mound who's a starting pitcher, because they've now gone to extra innings and they're running through their pitches. He came out to pitch to Aaron Boone, who is now the manager of the Yankees.
Yeah.
But he was a knuckleball pitcher. You can either look very silly by a knuckleball pitcher or you can smash them. Boone smashed it.
In the 8th inning, leading by 3 as Boone hits it to deep left. That might send the Yankees to the World Series. Boone, a hero in Game 7.
Although they lost the World Series that year to Florida Marlins of all teams, the curse was very much in play.
So that's 85 years of the curse. At this
Quick
stage.
calculation, yes, I think it is.
That's
Okay,
about
so
85
years,
the curse has been going for 85 years now.
And
The
it
curse
gets
of the
worse
Bambino.
in the off-season.
So they have got a chance to reverse the curse with the signing of a Babe Ruth type player.
You're onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything was set up for them. They knew they had a good team. They just needed that final piece. And there was a player called Alex Rodriguez.
A-Rod.
There we go.
A-Rod. Mainly famous for banging.
So A-Rod
Dirty dog, A-Rod.
Yeah, the dirty dog A-Rod.
He had an interesting history himself. He was a kingpin for the Seattle Mariners, but they were kind of a mid-market team. Texas bought him.
Yep.
$252 million, which is extraordinary in those days. 10-year contract. No one could believe it, including rival executives who recognised that Texas had no more money.
Yes.
So they bought A-Rod in, but they had a terrible team and they couldn't buy any talent to put around
Yeah.
it. So they were looking to shop him. Boston wanted him.
Yeah.
They were going to give them Manny Ramirez and a pitcher, a young pitcher called John Lester. Trade was signed off, except the Players Association stepped in.
Why?
Can you guess why they might have stepped in?
Something around giving him a pay cut.
Was it steroids?
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah. Very strict on their contract rules there.
Steroids.
A player cannot switch teams and take a pay cut.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So,
who swooped in?
Can you guess?
The New York Yankees.
The filthy, dirty New York Yankees, who are by now known as the Evil Empire.
Right. So the Evil Empire swung in and said, "We'll pay you your full salary, A-Rod."
Yep.
I've come to a point in my career where winning is the most important thing. And being a New York Yankee and the history and the present and the future, I think it provides you an opportunity when you drive to the ballpark every day that you actually have an opportunity to win and win big, hopefully in October.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God. So
That really stung. I can remember actually news reports at the time, and Boston was just like, holy shit, is this ever going to end? It's never going to end. But lo and behold, A-Rod became the curse breaker.
Yeah, so we'll come back to that. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back with the redemption story of the Red Sox. Okay, so the Evil Empire have got A-Rod. The Red Sox desperate to break the curse of the Bambino. Did they finally do it? And when?
They did. And that evil empire thing's quite interesting. It was the Red Sox president, a guy called Larry Lucchino, who dubbed them that. And until then, the Sox had just kind of tried to be a facsimile of the Yankees.
Yeah.
They thought that was the way to go because this was the most successful team. Boston was a reasonably big market itself, so it would pay big money. Tried to be this corporate team as well as the Yankees. But just at that time, they decided to flip it, and they went gritty. They went real blue collar. The Yankees had the pinstripes. You weren't allowed to have facial hair if you played on the Yankees.
Really?
Their owner, George Steinbrenner, banned it up. It's only this year is the first year it's been lifted.
But you're allowed facial hair?
Yep.
No mows, no stubble,
mows,
nothing.
Clean cut. You had to have your...
short back and sides?
Yeah, I think you had to have your hair above the collar.
There's a good joke in The Simpsons about that.
Mattingly, get rid of those sideburns.
What sideburns?
You heard me, hippie. Mattingly, for the last time, get rid of those sideburns.
Look, Mr. Burns, I don't know what you think sideburns are, but...
Don't argue with me, just get rid of them. Mattingly, I thought I told you to trim those sideburns. Go home, you're off the team for good.
Fine. I still like him better than Steinbrenner.
Okay, so Boston go full grimy.
Yeah, they call themselves the Idiots.
Right.
Okay, and they have this bunch of what they like to call lovable rogues in their clubhouse. Other teams probably thought they were dickheads.
Yeah.
But
like doing shots of tequila before they go out and the like.
Yeah.
I watched the doco on Netflix. They were loose, man.
Yeah. They
brought them together.
It did. It brought them together. But it didn't really matter when they finally get to the American League Championship Series against the Yankees, of course.
Yeah.
And find themselves 3-0 down. Not just 3-0 down. They'd gone home for the third game and been blown out 19-8 at Fenway Park.
19-8?
19-8. And this was their kind of year. And the depression that hovered over the city apparently was palpable. And I watched a doco, and there's been plenty of docos made about this, interestingly. But people were saying they'd be going into Dunkin' Donuts the morning, which is a Boston institution, the morning after the 19-8 game, and there'd just be people swearing at each other in the queue.
Because you don't come back from 3-0. You just don't.
3-0, and the third game was 19-8 at home.
Yeah, and the Yankees are pretty much laughing.
Yeah.
And then I'll get Matt to speak to this next game because it's one of his favourite baseball characters of all time. But they're down to the Yankees in Game 4 with the greatest closer in the history of baseball on the mound for New York, a guy called Mariano Rivera. And Boston, who's a big hitting team, played small ball. And
yeah, well, you can speak to it, but in walks Doc Roberts, who's the current big Bambino at the Dodgers.
Yes,
the big boss, and not a big base stealer,
wasn't he?
I don't think he was. I think there's some stat with how few bases he stole in his time, because last year when Shohei Ohtani, and many people now are saying that Babe Ruth was a Timu Shohei Ohtani because he pitches and hits, but and that whole thing when Ohtani got up to the 50-50.
Yeah. That's 50 steals, 50 home runs. Yep.
They were like, Doc doesn't normally push for the stolen. It's never been a big part of his coaching with the Dodgers, and it wasn't a huge thing, ironically, because he's so famous for this incident.
Yeah, well, he was a bench player for Boston. They didn't hit him. They didn't put him in the field. But in the ninth innings, when they needed a base stolen, a guy called Kevin Millar took a walk, got onto first base. The manager calls Dave Roberts out, and his one job...
steal base.
Is to steal from first to second.
Surely you just hire some 100-meter runner from down the road.
Well, I guess Doc Roberts was fast.
He must have.
He was fast.
So he stole it?
Everyone in the stadium knew he was trying to steal. All the Yankees knew he was trying to steal. And he got there. Jorge Posada was the catcher for the Yankees. And it was so close. And this was in the days before challenges, instant replays. The call could have
gone either way,
but it was in. Next man up hit a ball through the infield, and you needed someone quick on second because he had to hoop from second to home.
Now Miller will try to get him at least over to third base. Up the middle. Roberts will come to the plate. The throw by Williams. Bill Miller has tied it.
The game went into extra innings. It went past midnight, and Big Puppy
Ortiz,
David Ortiz, who would later be shot in a Dominican bar fight. He lifted one into the bullpen, and they met again later that day.
Ortiz into deep right field. Back is Sheffield. We'll see you later tonight. A 5-hour, 2-minute game, and worth every second of it for the Boston Red Sox.
So they would play after midnight and then played the next day.
Yep, played the next night, and the game was frighteningly similar. Boston came from behind to tie it up late, went to extras. Big Puppy blooped a single this time.
Yeah,
Johnny Damon ran home from second, and that was incredible. The spirits of the city, the team were lifted, but they still had to go back to Yankee Stadium 3-2 down, and everyone knew what was going to happen when they got there.
Yeah,
but it didn't happen.
So 3-3.
Yeah, so Game 6 was amazingly dramatic. The game was stopped when the crowd just all started throwing their beer cans and bottles and anything onto the field. When A-Rod was given out, and it was the right call. He ran up the line and whacked the ball out of the pitcher's glove who was coming over to tag him.
Oh.
But then he stood on the field like a crybaby and was going, "What, me? No." And so the crowd all...
yeah.
So the game was called off for a while. Eventually they came back. Boston won another squeaker, got to Game 7, and by this time the entire country was kind of swept up in this Red Sox-Yankees mania. It was heaving.
And a young Donald Trump was interviewed.
He wasn't that young, but younger.
Younger, going into Yankee Stadium, he said, "Yankees will win because George Steinbrenner is a winner."
Yep.
He was wrong.
The Boston actually made it quite nerveless for their fans. Johnny Damon had a salami, and he had another 2-run homer as well.
Yeah.
They won easy, and the curse
was broken.
The curse was broken after 86 years.
This would be the 5th pennant for the Red Sox since that 1918 season. Here it is, ground ball to second. Reese, the Boston Red Sox have won the pennant. The Boston Red Sox earned this celebration here at Yankee Stadium with the biggest comeback in postseason baseball history.
I just looked up to try and back up whether I was right or wrong about whether Doc Roberts was had stolen a lot of bases in his career, and I went to this baseball Reddit site, and the first comment was Bucky fucking Dent. Didn't even answer the question. It was Dave Roberts a big base stealer?
That's the answer.
And the answer was Bucky fucking Dent.
So the Red Sox went on to win the World Series that year?
They did. They beat the Cardinals, which was another buggy team of theirs, 4-0 in the World Series.
And then it was all off to the races. So 4, 7, 13, 18?
I think it was 08.
Yes.
Oh, okay. 4,
08.
4, 8,
13, 18. Yeah, and the Yankees won one in 2009. But it was genuine rivalry then as well, because the Yankees would still often end up winning the American League East because they're a more consistent team. But the
wild card.
But the Sox would get the wild card and either trip them up in the postseason, or another team would trip the Yankees up. So, there was kind of a rebirth of that rivalry that had always existed in Boston, because Boston hated New York, but New York, it was kind of Australia, New Zealand cricket.
Auckland, Canterbury.
Yeah, we consider it a massive rivalry. Australia don't really consider it anything of the sort.
But through since 2004 up till now, it's both ways.
Yeah.
So that's what you do. You break the curse, and then you win the respect, and then now they really freaking hate each other. But I guess the Boston still hates the Yankees more than the Yankees hate Boston, right?
I would say so, and
because you always see those videos, outside Fenway Park, and it's like
Yankees suck.
Yankees fucking suck.
Well, there's a great podcast about the Yankees suck, and the guys who made the T-shirts, Yankees suck, and they sold millions of T-shirts and started their own business on the back of them printing T-shirts that just said Yankees suck and selling them outside the ground. And they had an army of like a dozen mates because it was illegal. So they'd pack up, but they just sold thousands. And it's just a famous chant that goes up at Fenway Park is Yankees suck.
And New York's one to Boston is Who's Your Daddy?
Ah, okay, nice.
Yeah, and it started when Pedro Martinez lost a few games to the Yankees, and he didn't lose games to anyone else, basically.
Yeah.
And he was interviewed, and he said, who knows, maybe Yankees are my daddy.
I mean, what can I say? Just tip my hat and call the Yankees my daddies.
And so, since then, whenever Boston go into the Yankee Stadium, it's Who's Your Daddy? So it's pretty cool. New York keeps spending. They're still a massive team. Boston have gone a little bit moneyball in recent years, a little bit trying to cut corners and costs, and so they haven't been very good for a few years. And Matt can speak to this. That maybe New York see a certain team on the left coast as perhaps their,
especially after certain fifth innings last year.
Yeah. So the Dodgers have become kind of this behemoth team now.
And I think the if you're Major League Baseball, anytime if it happens again, there can be a Dodgers-Yankees World Series. You just get the two biggest franchises, it's huge. It's box office, whereas
big populations and
East Coast, West Coast,
massive history. The fact that Dodgers have originated in Brooklyn, just down the road from the Yankees, but still, you would never, I guess, have that historic.
Yes, that's right.
Deep-seated hatred.
It can't, because the historic, as I said at the start, rivalry for the Dodgers is the Giants. In fact, they were both in New York and they moved
at the same year.
Moved because they wanted to continue the rivalry. So the Dodgers were like, the Brooklyn Dodgers were like, oh, we're going to LA. And the Giants were like, all right, we're going to come up there to beat you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So to wrap things up, here, the Boston, New York rivalry, and you put it here nicely, Dylan. One plays in an actual museum. The other plays in a new stadium built to look like a museum. One revels in its untidiness and dirt dog attitude. One wears pinstripes and has only this year allowed facial hair on its players for the first time. One has a star-crossed path full of misery and crushed hope. One sees every year without a World Series as an affront. It's a Red Sox-Yankees thing.
Smith to Robbie Dean. The Yankees have swept a 4-game series.
Yes, it's early trying to open. Live from the Export Beer Garden Studios, this is Versus, an agenda special podcast brought to you by Bonds Chafe Off Undies. Bonds' innovative range of friction-free undies.